Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Dripping in gold? That's cool. Dripping in Velveeta's supremely creamy golden cheesiness? That's respect. Elevate your drip with Velveeta's range of outrageously delicious dips and dishes. Shells, cheese, melty blocks, and heat and eat queso that go all in on indulgence. Flex on your fam with a creamy, cheesy masterpiece and go all in on what you love with Velveeta. Respect the drip and satisfy your cravings. Bring home the drip with Velveeta.
Celebrate Lunar New Year parties with help from Whole Foods Market. Find yellow sale signs on Asian-inspired ingredients like whole fish, stir-fry ready shrimp, and organic ground pork that's great in dumplings. Explore fresh veggies like napu cabbage, bok choy, and komatsu na. And check out the floral department for money trees, orchids, and more. Perfect for gifting. Find good fortune and flavors through the 24th at Whole Foods Market.
Hi, I'm Lilah Fear.
And I'm Lewis Gibson, and you're listening to Anything But Footy.
With the latest on the Winter Olympics.
Lilah and Lewis, a costly and devastating mistake. Their words, not mine. With the latest reaction. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and this is the latest Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, talking about the Olympics and Paralympics all the time, not just once every 4 years.
Contrasting emotions, though, for Britain's ice dance couples. We're joined by British ice skating performance director Jon Ely.
That strength that they have as a team, but also as individuals, and I think there's still many, many more big nights to come, which they will nail in the future.
The Swiss are on a roll. Can't believe I just said that. In the men's alpine skiing, that's what makes us the #1 Olympics podcast. And in news from the Games, away from the winters, it's the indoor British Athletics Championships this weekend.
I'm Jeremiah Azu, sprinter for Great Britain.
World champion, Jeremiah. Come on.
World champion.
Yes, that interview in full as we talk about Olympic sport all the time. Even though the Winter Olympics are going on, we have to talk about athletics as well at times. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Download, listen and follow. Pass it on to all your friends. We're here all the time.
Hi, I'm Eve Muirhead. I'm chef de mission. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
Oh, Lilah. Oh, Lewis. Early mistakes on in their Scottish-themed free dance, and Lilah seemed to fall out of one of the twizzles in particular. And Lewis, of course, made a similar error during the Proclaimers section during the Europeans when they finished in bronze. But it was a 7th place finish in the end in the Olympic final. Lilah Fear, speaking to TNT afterwards, said, "I can't believe it. I can't believe I just did that. I feel so bad. Horrible. I'm in shock. I can't believe it happened. It's such a shame, as we know we're capable of more things. I feel so bad." Lewis said, "We move on and we'll get over it." So it left them with 118.85 points in the free dance, a total of 204.32 behind Italy, the European silver medalists, a young USA couple, and Lithuania. And then, of course, USA's Chock and Bates came for the silver medal. And they were even beaten themselves, the world champions, by the French Citheron and Fournier-Baudry, who only came together last year. And the Beijing champion Citheron had a 3-year break. It was quite the evening in the ice skating arena.
Yeah, and it was quite an evening that I got to witness at first hand because I was there in the ice skating arena. First of all, in the first section, the first 5 couples that danced, we saw Phoebe Becker and James Hernandez, and they delivered their season's best performance after delivering their Romeo and Juliet free dance. It was inspired, of course, by Great Britain, Shakespeare, and then Italy, Romeo and Juliet, Verona. They scored a total of 179.45 points on the ice in Milan. Now, it's very early days for that partnership. If they can take anything from this experience, then the French Alps in 2030 could be their time. It's only their 2nd season as seniors. But we all know why we were there. We were all there for Lilah and Lewis, of course. And yes, it was a very costly mistake. And I was actually at that end of the arena where the mistake happened at the end of that twizzle sequence. You could see it instantaneously on Lila's face. You knew. I think if she'd been a less strong character, she possibly could have burst into tears at that moment. And also, you just heard an audible groan around the arena. There was a lot of British fans in that end, a lot of Union flags in that end, and the entire end just groaned when it happened. So we all knew straight away, and we knew from that moment that the Olympic medal dream was over. More to discuss on this, of course, and we'll unpick it for you in a couple of moments. But first of all, in the last few moments, I have been speaking to Jon Ely. Now, he is the team leader for skating, so that is speed skating and figure skating. He's the British Ice Skating Performance Director. He is here, of course, in Milan. He was with the couple last night, and this is what he had to tell me.
It's a pretty tough one to take. Last night was we expected a big performance, and it wasn't too far away by that one really costly mistake. I think they've definitely lost a huge chunk of points there that would have made a big difference. But for them, I'm just really disappointed for them. I'm gutted that they made it's a small mistake that's so costly on their big night sort of thing. So we're working hard to get around them and make sure that they know that they've got a strong team around them.
Can you tell us what actually happened?
So just on the final part of the twizzle sequence, they're just what they would be classed as stepping out at the end of the twizzle, so just missing it at the end, which, because it's a sequence of twizzles, it's a large point scoring opportunity in terms of the element thing. So it was hugely costly, but I think their performance from that point on, or obviously before as well, but from that point on, really showed the character they have and the true determination and what we see in them, and what the world has seen over the last 4 years, and what I truly believe will take them forward, that strength that they have as a team, but also as individuals. And I think there's still many more big nights to come, which they will nail in the future.
I totally agree with you in terms of what they then went on to do, because you could see in Lila's face, you could hear in the crowd, everybody knew at that moment, but the rest of the performance seemed flawless. And that showed, as you said, a lot of bottle.
Yeah. And that's what we see week in, week out from these two. They are super strong characters. They work so closely together. They're pushing the boundaries of what they can do. And sometimes, like I said, on nights like last night, sometimes that can come unstuck sort of thing. But like I said, they're pioneers of the sport. They're really taking it to the next level and pushing themselves and also the sport. So we're so proud of what they've been able to achieve. And last night's just another step along the journey, and they will come back. Like I said, from what you see in that program towards the end, it shows that they've got what it takes, and they will be back stronger.
Understandably, both, especially Lilah last night, very upset. In terms of what Team GB are doing, what support network do you have around the pair now?
As of last night, straight away, we were around them as much as possible. We've supported them by getting them access to their friends and family, which is important. They've been able to spend the night with them and just almost take themselves out of this bubble for the time being, because that can be the challenge. Like, everybody wants to see if they're okay, everybody wants to support them, but sometimes they just need a family member or someone to give them a big cuddle. So we're doing all we can, and we'll work with them as always for the rest of the event, I think. And now I'm sure they'll be here supporting their teammates as well, because we've got plenty more competition days to come and things. So the energy might have been a bit low late last night, but we'll go again, and the team will get around not only Lilah and Lewis, but also the guys that are still to come.
And do they recognise the fact that, despite the fact they didn't win a medal last night, which lots of people have been talking about, they really have captured the public imagination? And certainly, and I have teenage daughters, the TikTok generation, they love Lilah and Lewis. They don't really care what happened in the arena last night. They have already won in many ways.
Absolutely. They are, like I said, they're pioneers of the sport. They're really taking the sport to the next level in terms of entertainment, and like I said, pushing the boundaries of different things they're doing, and really engaging with the crowd, not only in the arena but those at home. And for us at British Ice Skating, we can't thank them enough for that, because it's really getting eyes on them, but also the sport of ice skating. And hopefully, although the night didn't go to plan last night, like I said, people have really bought into what they bring to the sport and what the sport can bring to others as well.
Did we put a bit too much pressure on the guys?
I think there's always a case to look at that. We have high expectations of all our athletes. They're all been skating well leading into these games, and I think for Lilah and Lewis, it's the excitement of what they can do. I think that's where maybe if you say like the pressure can come, but the pressure comes from within themselves. They were there to do a job. They came here from their own personal goals to try and win a medal, and that pressure would only have been internal. And we'll debrief on that, but ultimately they wanted to achieve for family, for British ice skating, but most importantly for themselves.
Contrasting emotions for the two British pairs, because you had James Hernandez and Phoebe Becker, who were absolutely thrilled and delighted with their performance. And I'm sure you and the organisation and Team GB were as well. Yeah,
it's so good. They've worked, like I said, they've worked so hard. They've come from the juniors within this cycle, really built on some solid foundations as junior athletes, and just got better and better and better. And for them to perform the last 2 years like they have done, obviously qualifying for the games was a massive achievement. And then to go and perform to the level they did the last 2 nights of the ice dance is fantastic. And it's always nice to see athletes with smiles on their faces and being able to really enjoy their performances. And thankfully, we've seen that quite a bit over these games, and hopefully more athletes will be in that position going forward. But for them guys, for them personally, I'm really, really proud of what they've done, and their coach as well. They've all worked fantastically hard, and then to put that Romeo and Juliet performance together last night, and how emotional that was within the audience as well was great.
A friend of mine's messaged me this morning and said they are, to use their word, obsessed with Phoebe and James. I hope you can pass that on to them.
Yeah, I will do.
And just a quick one before we wrap up. We still have a World Championships to go this season. Will we see Lilah and Lewis back for that, hopefully?
Absolutely. Already we had a few conversations about, well, what do we do now between now and the World Championships and things like that. They're all eyes on moving forward. Like I said, I was asked last night, well, what does this mean for them moving forward? I don't see anything changing. They're still in there, I would say, in the world of ice dance. They're still in that development phase, although they've been achieving some fantastic results over the last few years. They're quite a bit younger than the number of the top teams above them. And I still think there's so much more to come.
So Jon Ely talking to Michael, and obviously a lot of support for Lilah and Lewis from the Team GB, from their family, which I thought was really important. But also, well done for Jon for coming out and speaking, because this is a huge story back here. Everybody is talking about it this morning, and what went wrong and how unlucky they were, how hard they've worked. But it just wasn't meant to be. And I think you said slightly earlier that you could tell immediately when Lilah had made the mistake. And for about 30 seconds of the rest of that dance, she didn't smile. And you know how amazing her smile is. Now, she got it back together and they finished really strongly. But to see the point score, as I talked about earlier, come up on the screen, they were absolutely gutted. And I think the country was gutted as well to see that. But I think from a sporting spectacle, what you then saw from the Canadians, who finished in third, the USA, the French, it was an incredible evening. And I think Lilah and Lewis have got to realise that they played their part in that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan when things go wrong in sport with the platitudes of showing great spirit, showing great character, so proud of them. I tend to try and shy away from using that kind of vocabulary. And I think the bigger picture, and that's what I said there to Jon, is that over the past Olympic cycle, what Lilah and Lewis have done is put figure skating back in the public eye in this country in a way that we haven't seen it since Torvill and Dean and their comeback in 1994. Torvill and Dean were in the arena last night. We were all talking up Lilah and Lewis, and I don't think we made a mistake in doing that. I think they were genuine medal contenders. They have shown that by winning a bronze medal at the last World Championships in Beijing. And they have a World Championships coming up. Always that weird anomaly in Olympic season that this is the big one, but then the World Championships are still to come. The Olympics sandwich between the Europeans and the World Championships. And I was speaking last night to a couple of journalists who said what we need to understand as correspondents, reporters in Olympic sport, is that the platforms have changed. And yes, there would have been a huge terrestrial linear television audience last night, but I would love to see the numbers for the digital traffic last night. Even just me sat on my metro a little bit deflated on behalf of Lilah and Lewis going home. The Instagram, the X posts were, I believe the kids use the phrase, blowing up about what Lilah and Lewis had achieved. And, you know, just to take the barometer of my own children, they didn't even realize there'd been a mistake in there. Well, all they know is that you had two people going onto the ice that entertained and have been entertaining and have captured the public imagination with what they've done. And it will be so tough this morning. It will be so raw for the pair of them. But they will need to sit down at some point, not this season, maybe after they've retired, and realised that the bigger picture here is probably better in the longer term for them than an Olympic bronze medal. Of course, they would have wanted both.
Yeah. And you can sit here and go, well, we didn't win a medal, so it was a disaster of a night. But that's not the way actually you need to look at it. And I also agree with you that you don't need to say you're proud of them. I think it is an Insta and social media world where everyone just comes on saying we're proud of people. I was speaking to someone who works in Olympic sport yesterday, and they said that they would rather hear they've worked hard, they've done their best, other people were just better. And I think that's the thing that we have to realise. Yes, they won a World Championship bronze last year, but Cicerone and Fournier-Baudry weren't even part of the team. They weren't even competing at that point. And then they come in and they've blown everybody away. And this is sport. Because if it was predictable, why would we watch it?
Yeah, it's moved on from last year. As I said, that World Championship medal is a year ago. And we're in a different season now. You can draw a parallel with the Summer Olympics that Beth Potter in triathlon went into the Olympics as the world champion. But that was actually last season. It doesn't count for as much in the Olympic season. And I think we just have to accept and own it was a mistake. It was an error. So that you know, we can say all we like, we can pour all the positives on them. But at the end of the day, when it mattered on the night, in that 4 minutes or whatever it was, they made an error. They made a bad error that saw them finish 4 to 5 places below where they should have finished based on their performances this season in, for example, the Tokyo Grand Prix before Christmas, which they won.
And as I said right at the start of the podcast, they made a costly error. That was their words. It was a costly mistake.
They've owned it.
They've owned it. They've come out and said, so we have to say that as well. So we can say, well done, you worked hard, you did your best, but you did make a mistake. And we have to own that, I think, as a nation. It feels a long time ago since we said we were going to win more medals than the medal target. I'm still optimistic that the second week could change it, but it shows how difficult world-class sport is, that you just don't know what is going to happen from second to minute to hour to tomorrow to the next week. And the only thing I would say is, Lilah and Lewis, you're a great partnership. Michael spoke to you more than I have, but I've been there and seen how you work together. Keep working together. Don't let anything try and break you apart. I think there were a few people sort of saying that Lewis didn't support Lilah last night during interviews. We heard from Jon Ely. They're a great partnership. They're friends. Let's not try now and break them down.
Just to put a little bit of insight into what happened last night after their performance and just try and maybe contextualize what you've just said there. So after their performance, they knew they hadn't won a medal. I mean, even with 3 couples to go, they were in 4th place. So at that point, we knew that realistically they were going to finish 7th. So what happens at that point is they obviously leave that zone where they get the scoring. They disappear through the curtain. they, at that point when the cameras and things weren't on them, that's when the tears first came. They steadied themselves and did a short series of TV interviews, so with the likes of Olympic Broadcast Service, TNT, and the BBC. When they finished that BBC interview, they then turn a corner in the interview zone, and that's where actually the agency press are waiting. And then there's another section where like British journalists were waiting. In fact, a lot of the British journalists couldn't get down to the interview zone because they weren't allowed out the arena until the other skaters had skated. I had managed to get out from where I was. When they turned that corner to where the agency press were, that's when the tears really came for Lilah and Lewis. And on the point of supporting each other, that is when Lewis essentially scooped Lilah up and walked her out of that area. He took ownership of that situation and realized it was detrimental to stand there and do any more interviews at that stage. So they took themselves off, which is where then Jon Ely came into the program and obviously ensured that they got the support they needed from Team GB and from their families and their friends. And that's where I then think, as media, because a lot of people hadn't heard from Lilah and Lewis themselves, they were just working off some of the comments they'd seen on TV. That's when we start making up things and filling in the gaps to fill our own narrative. And that's where I think the stories have come about them not being supportive to each other. And that's just not what I saw with my eyes last night.
And that is why you need to listen to Anything But Footy every day with Milano Daily, because you get behind the scenes information and not necessarily what's coming out on social media. Just very quickly on Phoebe and James, you mentioned them. I mean, what a contrast of emotions we've talked about, and they're just brilliant, and they really enjoyed it and they've embraced it. As you say, a personal best or season's best, 179.45, just unbelievably hopeful for what's to come.
Yeah, what a night for them. They got a selfie with me at the train station.
Of course.
What a night for them. That's arriving in Olympic circles when you see me gurning on Instagram next to a couple of elite athletes. It was the walk back from the arena to the station, and they were actually, a lot of people were like, what are you doing walking back to the station? They were just walking back with family and friends. But I mean, they were hardly going incognito. James was wrapped in a Union flag. So
did he still have his ice skates on?
Not quite the ice skates, but they were in the kit, and he still had the flag, and a lot of people spotted them, and obviously started asking for selfies and stuff. Which it's an interesting moment because they are then, if you like, released from the system to their family and friends. They probably want food, they want to catch up with partners, parents, whatever, but also there's lots of people and young people there that want a picture, and it's so important. And well, I waited right to the end, and it's so important for those young people to get that picture, to get that moment, and to see these people up close and personal that an hour or so before they'd seen on the ice. So, yeah, fantastic for them. Obviously, we heard in the interview with Jon, he was delighted for them as well. They've got a huge future, and they are just embracing everything that the Olympics has thrown at them at the moment. Completely contrasting emotions, even though they were way down in terms of the standings compared to Lilah and Lewis. They weren't at that quality, but in only that second senior season, to have qualified for the games, to have then qualified through to the free dance, which isn't a given, fantastic. And they will, I'm sure, really enjoy the remaining week and a half of the games. And they have promised me that they will come and talk to the podcast in the next couple of days as well.
Excellent. This is Milano Daily. News from the games, tomorrow's news today, and a very special other news from the games still to come. Stay with us.
They always tell you there's a catch, a compromise, an asterisk. Terms apply. See store for details. Maybe less than advertised. May vary by mood. Probably. Sprite Zero Sugar? It's different. It's the lemon lime flavored refreshment you want with zero sugar. So, no fast voice? No caveats. just refreshment. This is Sprite Zero Sugar. Obey your thirst.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Becker.
I'm James Hernandez.
Team GB Figure Skaters.
You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from
Anything But Footy.
You're listening to Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Let's run through a bit of other news from the games, and we're not going to get carried away with this one, but a good start to the men's curling campaign. They're looking to upgrade the silver from 4 years ago. Long way to go, but Team Mowat, Bruce Mowat, Grant Hardy, we've heard from them on the podcast. The boys won 9-4 in their opening round-robin match against China.
Swiss alpine skier Franjo van Almen is in his first Olympics. He's already, though, a 3-time Olympic champion. The 24-year-old became the first man to ever win the downhill and the Super G, the new superstar of Swiss skiing. Well, frankly, skiing, I would suggest. USA won silver and the Swiss took bronze as well.
Chloe Kim is looking to do what we now have to call the three-peat. It kind of worked with Adam Peaty. I'm not sure it does with Chloe Kim. In the women's snowboard half-pipe, the American is coming back from injury, a bad injury earlier on this year. So we haven't seen her perform too much, but nothing to worry about. A 90.25 in her first run, enough to see her qualify in top spot for the final.
Team GB's Michaela Gherkin-Schofield missed out on a place in the Moguls finals, only just. Her best score of 66.38 saw her finish 22nd and 20 qualified for the final. 20-year-old Elizabeth Lemley from the USA won the gold. The Mogul jewels are still to come. They're at the weekend and well worth looking out for.
This is one of those stories I love about the Olympic Games. Listen to this. Julia Simon of France won her second gold of these games in the women's 15K biathlon. In fact, it was a French 1-2 with Bulgaria winning the bronze medal. Team GB's Shauna Pendry was 88th. 12 and a half minutes behind the winner and with 7 shooting penalties in total. And you get a minute penalty added to your time for every one of those. Now, the winner, Simon, a suspended jail term for committing credit card fraud against one of her national teammates. She then shushed the crowd as she crossed the line.
We shouldn't laugh. Because...
Biathlon bloody hell. Biathlon barmy.
Unbelievable story. There are plenty of them around. The men's ice hockey competition started. Defending champions Finland lost 4-1 to Slovakia in the opening match. And the Italians have won another gold again, this time in the men's double luge. Before I talk about the medal table, the men's doubles luge, Michael, I've heard this on the radio so many times this morning. People are like, what is that sport? About who on earth came up with a man lying on top of a man? Or maybe we don't want to ask that. I mean, that's the other way of looking at it. But it's an incredible sport. Well done to the Italians for winning the gold medal, but it just looks slightly odd.
Yeah, and a bit of breaking news on the podcast this morning. Skeleton pilot Vladislav Heraskevich, who, of course, is the Ukraine skeleton pilot who wanted to wear this special helmet that he's had made, paying tribute to some other Ukrainian athletes who have lost their life in the conflict in Ukraine, has not been allowed to participate at these games after refusing to adhere to the IOC athlete expression guidelines. Having been given one final opportunity, he was told he was not able to start his race this morning. The decision followed his refusal to comply with the IOC's guidelines on athlete expression. It was taken by the jury of the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation. So the IOC are saying it, not us, based on the fact that the helmet he intended to wear was not compliant with the rules.
We'll talk more about this probably in the days to come, but I thought there was a line in the press release from the IOC that said, mourning is not expressed and perceived in the same way everywhere in the world. And I think as Western journalists, people, we have to realise that the whole world doesn't think the same as we think. And so the IOC is that balance. And as far as I understand as well, they tried to compromise over a number of things with him, including wearing a black armband, which you see in football a lot. But he refused that. Look, we'll have more reaction to that, as Michael said, in the days to come. But the medal table at the moment, Italy, I mentioned, winning another gold. They are currently third in the table. 4 golds, 13 medals, just ahead of Switzerland, who've also won 4 golds, 3 of them through Van Almen, of course. The USA are second, 4 golds, 12 medals. And Norway out in front, 7 golds, 13 medals. It will stay that way for much of the games. So, Michael, we were just talking about skeleton. Also, some breaking news as we're recording. World champion Matt Weston has set a track record, 56.21, in the first heat of the men's skeleton. Great Britain, of course, Matt Weston, he won 5 of the 7 World Cups that have taken place over this winter as well. He's on form. He's been on form all week, if we've been talking about it in the podcast. We're not going to build him up too much, although he is our big hope, isn't he?
Yeah, and I've just had a massive bet on Sports Personality of the Year for him, but no, I haven't. I haven't really.
I think the Football World Cup may come into that, but we will
No,
see.
it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. Matt Weston for Spotty.
So on to tomorrow's news today. We've got the men's skeleton in action today. The British women are in action tomorrow. So day 7 of the games. The British women are the only team in the competition, along with Germany, to have 3 female competitors, an honour marking their success in the sport recently. Now, Tabby Stoker has proved fastest in practice these past few days, as we've been talking about, but Freya Tarbet and firstly Amelia Coltman told me they're enjoying their Olympic experience so far too.
I honestly didn't have huge expectations because we'd kind of been briefed that the Olympics is not a fairy tale and behind the scenes things aren't as smooth as they may appear to be on TV. So I think our team kind of prepared us really well for the reality of the Olympics. I wouldn't say it's daunting in any way. The only word I would use is exciting. I feel like I'm living my best life right now.
Yeah, I would agree with Amelia. It doesn't feel daunting at all. It just feels like, for me personally, I just feel really happy to be here, and I'm just taking anything that's different, just take it in my stride and as an Olympic experience. And ultimately, as soon as you're on that sled, everything is the same, and that's actually quite a nice part of this, is we have all of this exciting stuff to deal with, but then we also have this thing that we're good at and that we enjoy, and as soon as we get load on that sled, it's all the same. I feel so proud of us that we've been one of the teams and the first, I think, British group of girls ever to secure those 3 spots. I mean, only 2 nations, like you say, in the world get those 3 spots, and I think that really just shows the strength of the British programme, especially amongst the women as well. It's really something to be proud of.
The main competitors for Team GB athletes, Kimberly Boss of the Netherlands is the world champion. Keep an eye out for her. World Cup leader Kim Meilemans of Belgium and Jacqueline Pfeiffer of Germany. She holds the track record in Cortina and has had fast times this week as well. Tomorrow as well, on day 7, the medal moment in the men's skeleton that we've been talking about. They have Heat 3 and Heat 4 tomorrow evening, UK time, 6:30 and 8:05. So another busy night for Team GB, hopefully. And the curling continues. And also, we heard from Charlotte Banks yesterday in our episode of Milano Daily. She goes in the snowboard cross from 9 o'clock tomorrow, day 7 of the games. That is tomorrow's news today.
This is Milano Daily. Our other news from the games, because we cover the Olympics all the time, not just once every 4 years, is coming up.
Reggie, I just sold my car online.
Let's go, Grandpa. Wait, you did?
Yep, on Carvana. Just put in the license plate, answered a few questions, got an offer in minutes. Easier than setting up that new digital picture frame.
You don't say.
Yeah, they're even picking it up tomorrow. Talk about fast.
Wow, way to go. So, about that picture frame.
Forget about it. Until Carvana makes one, I'm not interested.
Car selling made easy. On
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
And in other news, away from these games, we are delighted to bring you this because it shows we do this all the time. The British Indoor Athletics Championships take place this weekend at the Utilita Arena in Birmingham. Ordinarily, of course, I would be there for that.
You would.
But I'm not. I'm not. I'm here. It's an opportunity not only to be the best in Britain, but a chance to book a place in the British team for the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland this coming March. We're going to see the likes of Dina Asher-Smith and Georgia Hunter-Bell all competing, we understand, and world champion sprinter Jeremiah Azu is back to defend his title. British and world champion will be competing at the Novuna UK Athletics Indoor Championships, and John has been speaking to him.
Firstly, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm in a great place. Mentally, physically, I think the best I've ever been. So I cannot complain on those fronts.
How has the winter been? Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, winter's been great. Training's been very consistent. I've had no interruptions for the first time in a winter season. So, it's all positive. really. I've raced a couple times now, and everything's looking in the right direction. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm happy with my team, how we're progressing, and all of that. Yeah.
And when athletes say they've been on winter training, does that mean sunshine? Where have you been?
So the first half of winter was in the UK, in Cardiff, sunny Cardiff. And then in January, for the first 2 weeks, we spent it in South Africa. So a bit of heat in there, but for the most part, it's been indoors at the university here.
Talking of indoors, what are your plans this year for another busy indoor season, or do we have to call it short track now? And I can't work out what we call it.
Yeah, who knows? I still call it indoors. Just keep it old school, you know. Yeah, same old. Try and defend the title, and both titles. So we've got the British Championships coming up in 2 weeks, and then the World Indoors in about 6 or 7 weeks, something like that. Yeah, so defend them both, leave with some more medals.
I mean, a year ago, you absolutely annihilated the opposition in that World Championships in China. What are your memories of that when you look back now?
It was honestly such a blur that time because my son was born like 5 weeks before that, and the days were flying by. It was one race after another, one championships after another, and I think I just really got into that flow state. But when I think back to it, I just really have that appreciation for China and especially the fans. I've received a lot of support from them over the last year because obviously I won the championships over there. So I just have great memories from it. And it was fun, which is what I always want it to be. I enjoyed it. Of course, it's going to be more fun when you win, naturally. But yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time.
Is there more pressure on you, though, this year as defending champion?
There might be from other people, but I think pressure is what you put on yourself. It's a privilege to be in these positions, and it's a privilege to have that pressure. So I think it's how you deal with it. Pressure is what you make. And for me, it's another race. Yes, you can put the title of 60-meter world champion on it, but for me, I go out there and I get to do what I do day in, day out. So I don't need to change that process, and the process always looks the same. Of course, I've never defended a world title, so there's that difference. But for me, it's going to be another 60, get to that final, and try and leave with that medal again. And I'm confident in my team that we've got the ability to do that because, the winter we've had has been great, and I'm confident in what I'm capable of doing.
Because I think at the time, a year ago, you sort of said it all came together, that you mentioned about your son being born and various things that you'd been through. But now, a year on, you feel like, or you say that you're even more confident. You and the team are even more confident.
Yeah, because I think if we look back and we were able to achieve that with the amount of disruptions that we had, even throughout the season, making it to the World Outdoor semi-finals, just missing out on the final by 2 places, those are all such big positives because that whole year there was thing after thing that some I could control, some I couldn't. But if I was able to achieve that level of success with the setbacks that I faced last year, there's been 0 this year. And we can see in my running that I'm running well. I'm running better technically. I'm having fun. I get to travel. Like, all these are such big positives that when I get into those high pressure environments again, I know that the best is always going to come out of me because that's what I aim for. I want to run at the championships. I want to run in these high pressure races, as people like to put them. So yeah, they all just gear towards me getting the best out of myself, and it's going to be exciting in Poland in the coming weeks.
Birmingham is such a great setting for the British indoors as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. That track is great. The fans, they love it, and it's intimate. That's the good thing about indoors. You're in an arena. You can feel that energy, the excitement. You can feel the nerves and all these different things. And yeah, that's just what we look forward to. And they do a great job of turning that arena into a track and field facility because you think it's always there the way they make it look. It was only a couple of years ago that I realized it was like up and down. I always used to think when I was younger that it was just an indoor arena, but now it's a concert hall, and they do a great job of turning it into a track facility. And a lot of the athletes love it. The track's quick. And yeah, it's a great atmosphere.
Now, am I right in saying the British indoors is Valentine's weekend?
Yes, it's actually on Valentine's Day. Those plans out the window this year.
Exactly. So you would love to win it. You see what I
I'd
did there?
love to win it. Yeah, I'd love to win it.
And you said right at the start. So British indoors to start with, and then to the Worlds.
Yeah, that's it. That's the goal. In between, I've got one race in Germany at the start of March. But yeah, British indoors, win that, qualify top 2, go to the World Indoors, win that. Sounds easy when you're saying it like that, but yeah, you still got to go through the rounds, through the process, stay healthy and all that. Yeah, and it's who can deal with that pressure, who can deal with the excitement of that final, who can deal with just getting there. It's never that easy. A lot of things happen in life and can throw you off that path. So getting there already is a massive accomplishment, and defending that title will be an even greater one.
I know you are focused on what you've just been talking about, the indoors, but I need to ask you about the summer because the Commonwealth Games is coming up. You're obviously incredibly proud Welshman, as you mentioned Cardiff already. I assume you'll be in Glasgow or targeting Glasgow?
Yes. Of course, I need to go through the process of being selected by Team Wales. So until that's said and done, I can't say I'm selected. But I'm confident I've done enough to put myself in a position to go there, be competitive, and race against some of the best in the world. The Commonwealth for sprints is almost everybody. You take out the Americans and you've kind of got everyone else there. So it's going to be definitely competitive, and yeah, it's going to be great. I'm glad Glasgow came in to save it because it's something that especially Welsh athletes we look forward to so much, representing Wales, and it's going to be it's hard to put into words. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be cool to have a technically a home games. It's looking like it's going to be a good summer. And then there's reports of a heat wave, so who knows? We might have some great weather as well.
Absolutely, we'll look forward to that. But for some athletes, is there some kind of, well, what do I go for? The European Athletics Championships, which are in Birmingham at the Alexander Stadium for the first time. The UK's hosting the European Athletics Championships, which sounds crazy that we haven't done it before.
Yeah.
And that's literally 2 weeks after Glasgow. So is there a bit like, I don't really know what to do? But from your perspective, no. But you can see what other people are thinking
from
of.
Other people's, maybe I can understand it, but I think we all train so much that shouldn't be an issue. 2 weeks is well long enough to recover on the circuit. Some of us race 4 days apart, sometimes a week here, a week there, and sometimes you might even go 3 weeks on the trot. So with the right training, right periodization, you should be ready to go run fast at the Commonwealth Games, come out of it, have 4 or 5 days off, and then ramp back up for a week, and then get into the Europeans and get good results from both. And I think we've got the right plans to allow that to happen. And I'm sure a lot of other British athletes will have the same. A lot of our coaches have been doing this for such a long time that planning these things is the easiest part. It's just dealing with the externals that you can't control, which is where it might get a bit complicated.
Well, we'll look forward to the summer and seeing you in action and the indoors, as we mentioned. Before we let you go, tell us about your little boy, your little baby, a year old, coming up for a year old.
He's almost one now. A couple weeks to go. But yeah, he's just full of energy, non-stop. He's walking around now. Took him to the track for the first day on Saturday, and yeah, he loved it. Couldn't keep him still. So when everyone left, we let him loose, run on the track a bit, and yeah, he's having a great time. It's been crazy to see how fast he's grown, and starting to see his personality a lot more now. He's a cheeky boy. I think he follows.
Where's he get that from?
Yeah, I think I was a bit very similar when I was younger. I think I've toned down a lot now, but I was very excitable and cheeky. Didn't like staying still. Always wanted to be out and about. I can hear him screaming now.
Well, we will let you go and see him. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Good luck for those indoors, and we'll look forward to covering it on TalkSport and Anything But Footy. Thank you so much.
A pleasure, but thanks.
So Jeremiah Azu speaking to me, Michael. Big weekend of sport with the Winter Olympics and these World Indoors trials, effectively, from a British point of view. Interesting what he said about the Commonwealth Games, sort of saying, come on, British athletes, you can do both events. You can do the Glasgow 2026, and then you can do the European Championships in Birmingham a couple of weeks later. Agree?
Yeah, I think a few people have said that. In fact, I think it's just such a big opportunity to compete in 2 home championships back to back. I remember having that conversation last summer, I think, with Dina Asher-Smith, with Georgia Hunter-Bell. I think Keely Hodgkinson has also indicated that she might be up for trying to do the double as well, because these athletes just don't get those moments to compete in front of big crowds. And yes, it's going to be a smaller Commonwealth Games. In fact, for athletics, it's going to be much smaller than what they are used to. But what they are still going to get to compete in is a really good atmosphere, because although Scotstoun is not going to be like the London Olympic Stadium, there's not going to be 60,000 people in there. It's not going to be like Hampden was in 2014. There's going to be 15 to 20,000 in there, but they're all going to be there. There won't be an empty seat. And even on the Diamond League circuit, a lot of those meetings, you're competing in front of not many people. So I just think this is a great opportunity for the Commonwealths. And then for Birmingham, and we're really ramping up, I think, now the build up to the Birmingham Championships Europeans as well. That will be competing in front of sort of 30,000 people every night. So, yeah, I can see why the British athletes are targeting both. And from a performance point of view, they're so close together. It's not like you've got a peak and then there's a bit of a gap and then peak again. I think you are essentially looking just to peak, aren't you?
Bumper edition of the podcast today. Thank you for the exclusives, Michael, that you've brought us from the ice skating arena. You can follow us on socials all the time, Anything But Footy. Check out our social accounts on our website. If you've got any comments, we'd always love to hear from you, anythingbutfooty.com. There is the Spotify Olympics music playlist if you just need to get away from all the news that's happening as we speak. And it is the Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
I'm Elias Smeeding, Team GB long track speed skater. You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from Anything But Footy.